Hi everyone, back again, and because all these films are coming, and also I'm very conscious that in a week or so it's the Academy Awards. So I've been doing all the Best Picture nominees, then I took a break to do the incredible Black Panther, which everyone is talking about, and then I'm coming back today to do the last of the Best Picture nominees, and today is Greta Gerwig's Lady Bird. And as usual, I'm just going to quickly say whether you should see the film, then we'll talk a little bit about it and probably have spoilers, although it's not really that kind of film. So the general answer is yes, you should go see this. It's a really empathetic film. It's really got a deft touch, and what Gerwig does very well is it's just got that note of authenticity about it, and great performances, which we'll talk about soon. So go see it. I think if you didn't see it at the cinema in Australia, it's only probably going to be on for a very short time unless it wins some major awards at the Academy Award. I think you definitely could see it on TV if you didn't catch it at the cinema, because it's a very small film. It's all about the performances, so I don't think it would be the end of the world. But definitely worth catching. And if you had a young daughter, I've recommended it to my niece and her mother, because she's 16. This film is about a 17-year-old girl just about to enter adulthood, and I think it deals with that kind of transition in a really quite realistic way and charming. So I'll be back in a second. Bye. So this film is written and directed by Greta Gerwig, and Greta Gerwig's one of those people that you probably recognize the name, and for a long time she was known as the It Girl. There's been a multitude of It Girls since Clara Bow at the turn of the 20th century, let alone now. So, but really for a long time, she really hadn't done that much stuff. She was just working with a lot of the new independent filmmakers, especially Noah Baumbach, and she was in a few films. She did a few things. Then she was in Frances Ha Ha, and she had a breakout performance. She got some nominations. So that's all good, but this is a real surprise that she would then parlay that. She was working with a lot of people, either writing, directing, producing, but at a much smaller scale. So all of a sudden she's written this script and then she's directed it as well, and it's an incredible debut. So I think she's done something incredibly clever, because this is what you would call semi-autobiographical. So Greta Gerwig grew up in Sacramento. She went to a Catholic school. She says in interviews that none of the things which actually happened in Lady Bird ever happened to her. But what happens is, even though she might have turned it up to a higher level for drama, all the little things which make this film really enjoyable, just you have the feeling that they either happened to her or to her friends, or she observed them. And she really nails that that kind of form of being in a rich country but not being rich, not being poor either. This kind of almost working middle class. It hasn't got really quite a term. It's no one's going without food or anything, but nevertheless, you can very clearly see where you sit in society. So this film is based around performances. It could almost be a play. And so I've got no chance of pronouncing this name. She hosted Saturday Night Live earlier, and there was a whole bit about how to say her name. So I'm just going to give it a go and go, I think it's something like Saoirse Ronan. My cat just attacked something. I thought someone was just busting in. So it's Saoirse Ronan or something like that. It's a very Celtic name. And she's been on the up for quite a while now. And I first noticed her in Hannah years ago in The Lovely Bones. And every year, and then last year, obviously, she got a nomination for Brooklyn. So every year, she's just been building up as a major actress. She is pretty much in every scene. She is fantastic. She's in her early 20s, but she plays this 18-year-old, 17, 18-year-old perfectly. You'll notice that she has no makeup. You can see the acne. She's done this light red rinse through her hair, which just is so... You go to any bus stop, you know, at school time, and like I do to pick up my son, and you'll see girls like this. She's a bit gangly because she's still growing, and she's just spot on both physically and mentally, and she's just such a charismatic actress anyway. So she's fantastic, and she's paired for the main part with Laurie Metcalf, who has not done that much in film lately, but of course is a legend for playing the sister of Roseanne Barr in Roseanne for over a decade. And she's incredibly good because she's, like all comic actresses, she can do the comedy and get the timing right, but she's playing it serious, and they often can plumb the pathos which you might not see anywhere else. So she is fantastic. She's been given a lot of nominations for the prizes, but the problem is she's up against Alison Janney and I, Tonya, and they're both similar in the sense of the kind of harsh mother, and Alison Janney is a little bit better and has a lot more scene stealing to do. So Laurie Metcalf is kind of suffering in that comparison. The rest of the ensemble is good without being great. Timothée Chalamet turns up again and steals the couple of scenes that he's in, playing a very I don't know, like that young teenager. Everyone knows that young teenage boy who is flirting with Marxism and reading Howard Zinn and really kind of thinks he's worked out how the world works. I was that kind of kid. And then has to do a little bit of growing up, and they're a little bit obnoxious in being so empowered, supposedly. But he's charming. The moment you see him, the camera just lingers on him instead of the rest of the cast. Everyone else is very good. The father is very good. I didn't know him that well. He is played by I've just gone blank, can't remember his name, but the father is very good. The rest of the cast is good. Generally, this film works, as I said, because it is exploring the trope of, which we've seen numerous times, of the young girl who's trying to find herself, and she's kind of smacking against all the institutions, and you're not sure how she's going to come out the other side. So although there aren't that many spoilers, we might as well talk about this in spoilers so I don't ruin anything accidentally. So we'll be back in a second. Bye. Okay, so we're back. And spoilers, but there's no spoilers in the sense that we'll talk about the ending, but there's not really anything to give away because, and this is its weakness as well as its strength, is I've seen this film 1,000,000 times. I don't know how many times I've seen the film about the disaffected teenager who's very smart but doesn't play by the rules, and we know should probably find their feet eventually. They'll be a great adult, but right now is lost. And that trope is mixed with the going for all the colleges and putting in your applications, and you maybe can't afford it, you don't quite have the marks. But we know because we've been watching a film about you that you're special and what is going to happen. And 90% of the time, they get into a college, kind of what they wanted, and then they leave town. And that's kind of how it wraps up their progression from child to adult. And in fact, the more interesting films to me are when they don't get into college and then they explore what they do next. But anyway, so this is conventional by that way, and she gets in, and so the problem is there's a ceiling on how good a film can be if I already know how it ends, which I did from pretty much 2 minutes in. So then it's all the performances, and the performances elevate this immensely. And as I said earlier, because Greta Gerwig really knows where she wants the camera, shoots it almost like a play, because it's just really people talking most of the time. There's not that many directorial flourishes in the way that she moves the camera. or anything like that. So I already know what's going to happen. Where this exceeds is the authenticity, and there's no lies. So when they talk about sex, they talk about sex properly. It's not varnished. The jokes sound like the kind of jokes that families make. So for all that, its authenticity and realism comes through, and that's why this film is so good. But it does come against the tropes, and so I think that this film is good without being great. And I'm a little bit surprised that it got a nomination for Best Picture, because I could see in a different year that it mightn't have been able to do that. But it's definitely worth seeing, and I think this film is a really good film to see with teenagers, and then have a conversation afterwards, especially about sex, and also about where you see yourself in the world. So look, that's it. Keeping it short today because I've got so much stuff. So next week, maybe another film review, but definitely coming up, I'm going to do what I think about the Oscars. I've now seen everything, and I'm going to tell you what I think will win and maybe who should have won. So please subscribe if you like what I'm doing. Hit the bell so you know, and I'm on Twitter, Guru Eden. So I'll see you soon. Bye.